Welcome back to the Best of Pest Marketing Podcast. My guest today quite literally crashed her way into the pest control industry. And today she's a co-owner and COO of a PCT Top 100 company that has tripled in revenue over the past 5 years. I'm so excited to interview Courtney with Pest-End. Welcome to the show, Courtney.
Thanks, Kate. It's awesome to be here. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, well, I feel like we have to start here with your introduction to the pest world. Tell us about how you literally crashed into the pest control industry.
It really is one of my favorite stories. And I think it's my favorite story because everybody who gets into pest control always has a super unique story and how they fell into the industry. Unless you were born into it, it's not the most glamorous of industries. So, how people get there is one of my most favorite questions to ask people. So, my story was I was literally just got my license and my driver's license, and I was pulling into the garage at my house and hit the side of the garage and caused some pretty significant damage, not only to my car, but to the side of the house as well. So my parents said, well, that's great. You want to drive that car? Please get an after school job. So at the time, I was dating my now husband, and his parents owned a pest control company. And they were looking for just some after school help for admin work. So I took them up on the offer. And after school in high school, I would be posting work orders and filing work orders, posting payments, doing all of that clerical stuff, and definitely did not think that this was going to be my career at all. It was just a way to pay off a mistake, simply. And my whole dream was really to be a lawyer. I had grown up, that was my goal in life. I attended Holy Cross in Worcester and majored in history, studying law while I was there, preparing for the LSATs. And my junior year of college, I interned in DC for a law firm, and unfortunately realized that I hated every moment of it. So grateful that I had that opportunity to identify that my passion was not there. So at the time, my in-laws were looking to expand the business and diversify a little bit. So I opened the lawn care side of the business after I graduated college. Also had the opportunity to hop on a plane and get my canine certification because it was in 2010 at the height of the bed bug craze. So I was simultaneously growing one vertical of the business while also getting to go out into the field and identify bed bug issues with Rascal, our canine.
Wow, what a unique story. I love that you were on like the canine front too. Like such a fun and interesting way to be in the pest world. I'm curious because you said you wanted to be a lawyer,
Mhm.
but you ended up in the pest control industry, which has served you very well.
It sure has.
But I'm curious, like looking back, do you think that your experience of being interested in law, the way your brain works, that you were interested in it in general, has shaped how you run the business today?
Absolutely. I've always been a very process driven person, so that lends itself well, very detail oriented. So for law, you would definitely need that, and I feel like that has really served me well in my capacity as COO and in the EOS world integrator of our company. And I there are so many transferable skills really throughout the through really any career and really any industry that work so well and align with pest control. And I think that that is such an opportunity for people to understand that pest control is not just a customer service rep answering a phone or a technician out in the field. There are so many opportunities within the pest control industry, whether it's marketing, whether it's finance. So I think no matter what you major in college, what your passion is, you can find a home in pest control. There are companies that have lawyers on tap for them for whatever purposes for pest control. So it really is it's a small and unique industry, but really the opportunities are so endless here.
Yeah, it's interesting. I found pest control to be such an expansive field with so much opportunity, especially for business owners that are really, diving in, looking to serve their local markets and grow and expand. And one reason, I mean, there were several reasons I was excited to talk to you, but one reason was because at the end of 2020, you actually decided to buy your in-laws out with your husband and your sister-in-law. What did that transition actually look like?
Yeah, so I think with all family businesses transitioning, there's a period of um, uncertainty and maybe some mourning going on from from the older generation. But really, we were at a point where we knew that we needed to scale. There were mergers and acquisitions going on in our area in particular, and we knew that if we wanted to stay and compete, that we really needed to scale our business. And my in-laws did a fantastic job of building a really solid foundation of the business. However, they were happy. I mean, they were thrilled with what they had built. They weren't really looking to grow the business into new markets, and we were. So we had a lot of conversations, and of course, it happened at the end of 2020, which basically the world was in chaos. So why not add something else to our plate? And it was a really great transition. And my in-laws are still know what's going on in the business, still ask us all the questions. We meet quarterly to have conversations about the progress and where we're at and what our goals are. And they've also been fantastic watching the grandkids.
Oh, how perfect. How
Exactly.
I know like navigating a merger in general is tough. And then you add the family dynamic on it, and you're having to have all of these hard conversations. I'm curious, was that hard to navigate personally? Did it bring you closer in the end? What are your relationships like now?
Yeah, so I think it was a healthy separation. I think if you ask anyone, if you ask my father-in-law, my husband, they are both Italian, like real Italian. So it was very loud. Meetings were really loud. Sometimes got very animated. And I think we were just at a point where it was we needed to pick a direction for the business to grow, either stay and kind of maintain what we were doing or scale. And they realized that they wanted that business to be passed down to generations. And at the time, my sister-in-law and I were both had kids, young kids, and we wanted the opportunity to give them a chance if they wanted to as a third generation business. So there were definitely bumps in the road. It's their baby, and I totally understand that. And we definitely changed some things. But what we really focused on though was maintaining our culture, which they had established, and we didn't want to lose sight of that. So I will give so much credit to Erin Richardson from American Pest. She has been from All American. She was amazing. She went through a transition, so she kind of helped us and navigate that the way that she did it with her dad.
Wow, that's so special when you can find someone who's already gone through what you're
Yeah.
going through. And yeah, it is your baby when it's your business. I know you understand
Absolutely.
that now more than ever.
Hmm.
I love that it was such a healthy transition and that it's, brought you guys closer. And I think when business owners are selling their business, their main concern is their people and culture for the most part. So to be able to grow that, keep it intact, improve upon it is, I'm sure, such a blessing to them.
Yeah, I hope so. They still attend our company events, so it's great to see them and to see that continuity there too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Amazing. So I know you described yourself as an integrator, your husband as the visionary, and your sister-in-law now in the owner's box while actively doing your marketing. And for those that don't know, we're talking about EOS or traction, which a lot of big companies operate and even small companies operate on. It's a great way to identify and problem solve together as teams to work towards big initiatives and goals. So you get your whole team rowing in the same direction. But part of the initial stage of that is figuring out who is in what position. So, how did you guys figure out who does what in the beginning of that journey?
So we had an implementer. I don't think that we could have done this without having an outside voice in the room and really navigating that. EOS purely is seems like a very simple business concept, business model, but there are definite layers or things that we wouldn't have considered if we were trying to self-implement. So we had someone come in and we did our vision building day and all of that. And we sat in a room and we had several people in there, and some people were just like, this is not for me. So they self-selected out, and then we kind of went around in the room saying who we thought was best for each position. And that is a very uncomfortable place to be in. It was clear my husband was the visionary. I mean, no one had a question about that. That he was like one and done. Like we knew, okay, we can move on. And my sister-in-law was in the HR spot, and she did that for several years for us until we really started to scale. And she took a step back and wanted to get someone in with more formal training in HR. So she did a wonderful job building that foundation. Then we brought someone in and she transitioned into the marketing role, which she had no previous experience with. And she is just killing it doing it. I mean, she loves it and she's great at it. So she's been working on that piece of it. And then probably because I'm super process driven and also very outspoken, I was put in the integrator role. So I've maintained that. And then our finance director was put in the finance seat. And so basically my husband, Patrick, our finance director, and myself are the only three originals still remaining in our leadership team. And then we have since transitioned people in and out of our different roles. And most of the time it was people coming to us saying, okay, I think I've hit my limit. And when you scale as rapidly as you do, your capacity at a $5 million company, you need a very different capacity when we're at 15 million. And I was so proud of everyone who came up and they're just like, I don't think I can do this. I don't think this is the best seat for me. And we found new homes for them and they're thriving and they're much happier in their new positions. But we've had the same leadership team for almost 3 years now. And I think that has been huge for us now that we've had that consistency because we've been able to scale. We've been able to really dive deep, peel away the layers and what has challenged us and try to really fix what were the challenges that we have. And we actually have our quarterly coming up next week. So
Yeah, that's really interesting. I love how you guys went around the room and said, "Ooh, who would be the best for this position?" Because each person has a different experience with each person on the team. And to get that valuable information from everyone and their perspective, although uncomfortable, I'm sure,
definitely.
I'm sure really valuable too.
It was. It was. And you could really see where people saw your strengths and your weaknesses were too. So it was very eye-opening, very humbling, and very uncomfortable, but I wouldn't change it.
Yeah. Well, how has EOS actually changed your business? I know you've tripled the business in 5 years. Was that part of what happened before you went into that growth mode? Or yeah, how did EOS play within that?
Absolutely. I think that EOS was really the springboard for this scaling because when we acquired the business, we didn't have a budget. We didn't have a P&L. The way that we operated was, is there money in the budget? Is there money in the bank? And if there was money in the bank, like, great, we're doing fantastic. And we weren't getting our financials until like July of the next year. So when that happens, how are you able to run your business effectively? How are you making decisions? How do you know if your decisions are correct or if you need to pivot? So by starting with EOS, it brought a lot more accountability. We really were able to hone in on people's roles and responsibilities. We focused on developing our core values. We have a great relationship with our new accountant and we're getting our financials monthly. So that's great. We built a budget. So we didn't know what we didn't know going into that. And starting EOS and having an implementer ask us these hard questions. And sometimes we just sat back and we're like, did we make a mistake? Like, do we have the capacity to do this? And it was really humbling at times. But I think about where we were going into 2021 and where we are now and the questions that we're asking now and our demand for data and what we're looking for and how we're able to pivot and make decisions as we're super data driven. I attribute all of that to EOS.
Yeah, it sounds like it really helped you build a foundational, like company metrics to follow, whether that's financial, culture, decision making. It kind of just like laid the groundwork to then it grow and expand.
Absolutely. It really was the foundation of our success over the past few years.
Yeah, I'm curious if you can explain to owners who have heard the term but have never implemented it, what did EOS actually change about the day to day at your company?
So I think with the day to day, everybody knows what they're responsible for. We had a lot of crossover before where it was especially evident in our office. And we had people who everyone was doing accounts receivable and everyone was answering phones and everyone was selling and it got to be very confusing and there was a lot of finger pointing or why is this happening? Well, this one touched it and this one touched it and this one touched it. And you could never figure out like where the root cause was. So that I think was a huge piece. And then also, speaking of root causes, really identifying why an issue is happening, and then trying to eliminate that root cause so that we don't repeat that, because we would see things that we think would solve it and then it would pop up in different ways in the business and we never had solved the actual problem that we had. So looking at it that way, and then also just our culture in general, when we're hiring and we are rewarding based off of our core values, that has changed the caliber of team members that we have. It's just changed the entire dynamic and it puts everything through a certain lens. So I'm not going to say it's completely objective, but it is much more subjective if you can say, okay, is this in alignment with our core values? Or you have to have a challenging conversation with someone because maybe they made a mistake and you have to correct them. And you can just say, okay, here are our core values here. Do you think that situation really aligned with our core values? So you can frame your discussions around them, which takes a little bit. It's not easy to have a difficult conversation, but it takes a little bit of the stress away from it because it's not a you versus me situation. This is what we expect in the business. And are you displaying those values?
Yeah, such important processes in the business. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
figuring out to how not to have overlap within roles, first off, is critical when you're going through merger and acquisitions.
Yes.
Because otherwise, people are doing double, triple work when they could be focusing in areas that are actually going to move the business forward. So I know that was one way that you guys tripled over the past 5 years was M&A. And I'm curious, what's your read on when acquisition makes sense versus just growing organically?
Yeah, so we are super intentional about our decision to acquire a company. We've acquired two companies in the last couple of years, and really it was to expand our presence in certain markets. So that's where we look at, and is there alignment with our business model? So our first acquisition that we had it was our first one, so we learned a lot of lessons along the way. And what we realized was their business model didn't quite align with our services for mosquito and tick. So we spent a lot of time talking to those new customers and explaining our process and how we do things. And while similar, there were definitely some distinct differences. So the second acquisition that we did, we really asked a lot of tough questions and asked what their service model was and how frequently they're doing service and how are they billing and do they have things on people on contracts. So we definitely dove a lot deeper into that. But we look at acquisitions as mostly on the residential side, and if we can grow a marketing area for us. For the most part, we prefer to grow organically, and whether that's our outside sales team hunting or doing marketing efforts and doing lead generation that way.
Yeah, I feel like you would learn so much through going like to buy your first business and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't ask these questions."
Yes, it was a bit of a challenging experience, and it's great. We've retained so many of those customers, and they're fantastic. But definitely learning curve for us.
I bet. Well, I know you mentioned that your core values were also critical to the growth and the culture, and that having core values even helped you have hard conversations with people on your team because you gave you gave your leaders and yourself kind of a leg to stand on so it doesn't feel personal. It's more like, this is what we're about. Can you go over what your core values are?
Yeah, absolutely. So our acronym is SHINE. So we have supportive leadership, honesty and integrity, inspire to wow, nurture a collaborative environment, and empowerment through positivity. And then basically all of those are in our hiring criteria. So we have questions that we'll ask that are based off of that. We often talk about this at company meetings. We have our Shine Spotlight. So twice a month, we have peer nominated submissions will come in, and the leadership team will sift through them. And we will spotlight 2 people each month that have identified or have exhibited our core values, which is fantastic. And it's a great way to shout out our team. I do a company update every month, and I ask all of our leaders in our company to submit 1 to 2 sentences about someone on their team that has demonstrated a core value. So I call it the Shine Board. So that goes right in my little newsletter that I send out. And then at the end of the year, we have our Shining Star of the Year. So it's anyone who was the recipient of a Shine Spotlight. They're all considered, and we have some criteria that we look at. And the winner of that receives a trip for them and a significant other or someone else, whoever they'd like to bring, and a week off, week paid vacation, some spending money. So we've done that. This will be our 4th year doing it, and it's been very well received. And it's so fun to see everyone get excited and congratulate the winner.
Did you say that was the Shining Star Award?
Yeah, Shining Star of the Year.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And what a gift to also give them a week off of work, a paid trip with their significant other, and spending money. Like, that is an award.
Yeah, it's awesome, and we actually last year the winner took his dad, and they went out to the out west, and they went to like all of these bucket list places that they wanted to go to. So just to like be able to make those memories, that's so meaningful. So that was awesome to see, and we'll share pictures of their trips and things like that.
I love that. I know you mentioned it's had a positive impact on your culture. I'm curious, what have you seen as the result of incorporating these core values into your business? Because you guys have built processes and systems that it's more than just like a poster on the wall. It's like,
Yeah.
this is what we live and breathe. We have conversations around it. If things aren't going right, we reward when it is. So I'm curious, like, what influence have you seen on your culture with creating all of this?
So I definitely think that we have just a fantastic team, and we have people who are our team members just align with our core values. So automatically you have a group of like-minded people that are kind of all working together, which is fantastic. And I think on top of it, kind of bringing that accountability, and people do hold each other accountable too when it comes to things. But even that shine spotlight, the fact that you have your peer recognizing you for doing something is more meaningful. It's great if Courtney, the owner, says like, "Oh, good job!" Like, but when your team is recognizing that, and they're spending their time taking 10 or 15 minutes to write a submission and email that in, I think that speaks volumes about the person who they're recognizing, but also themselves, that they're willing to just take some time and do that. So to have people like that, and to really create a strong culture, and it's not easy, and nothing is ever perfect, but we really pride ourselves. And Diane, who is our running our HR team, she is just incredible, and she started in January of 2025, and she has really taken those core values and has spoken volumes up to our new team members about them. And she is their kind of first point of contact with Pest-End, and she represents the company so well. And we recently have just redone all of our evaluations and our comp packages for our technicians. We're going to work on other areas of the business shortly, but the technicians are the biggest chunk of the pie at Pest-End. So we started with that, and we are giving them an opportunity to increase their compensation quarterly, and they're based off of our core values. So we have several KPIs that we have tied back to at least one of our core values, and those are evaluated every quarter, and they can earn up to 1.25% in increase in their pay each quarter based off of those metrics.
Oh, I haven't heard of core values being so embedded in a company, but when you do get people that are of the same mindset and the same caliber, it really shows in your business because the people, your techs, are your in-person marketing, whether they're selling for you or not. They are representing Pest-End. So to reward literally from their pay perspective is economically incentivizing them in all the right ways. I'm curious, like, what made you connect pay directly to that? Like, how did you come up with that? Have you seen it before or?
No, so we've always struggled on comp, and I think a lot of companies have challenges with that because it can be so subjective. So how can we do things, hold the team to their numbers and to the standards that we want them to, but also give them an opportunity to reward them for exhibiting and demonstrating what it means to shine at Pest-End. So we started kind of just looking at different metrics that we would like to focus on, whether that's driver safety or Google reviews, things like that. We just kind of spent some time. There was a group of us spending some time and just thinking of all the things that are important, whether it's for the growth of the business or business reputation, and thinking about, okay, what is realistic to measure, first of all, so we're not going crazy trying to measure things, and what is realistic for the team to achieve. And then one of our IPM directors was like, what about like something related to core values? And then that really got us talking about, okay, well, what can we tie these different things we're talking to our core values? And some of them were easier than others with our core values. And we used a lot of AI. We're like, hey, how can we connect this? Or can we connect this? Or give us some ideas here. So the end product, I mean, this has been probably a 6-month undertaking for us to really do this and build this out. It actually went live yesterday, so July 1st. So the third quarter is where they're gonna have this opportunity. So we're starting to measure now. So we had conversations with everyone, and we told them like, this is what's going on, and this is what to expect, and here's how you can identify how you're doing. Your supervisors will check in with you, and then we have like a progress report that they'll get at the end of each quarter too, which basically you can type in like all of their metrics. It's a weighted scale, and then it can tell you where they're doing really well and where there's opportunities for improvement next quarter.
Yeah, I love that from a business owner perspective because you're incentivizing what you need to see for somebody to be very successful in their role. And then obviously, they're way more likely to do it if they're going to get paid more. But I am curious, how did the team react when this was rolled out? Was there any pushback or was it excitement?
It was probably a little bit of both. I think we had gotten into a mindset, a little bit of just because you show up every day, you get some type of compensation increase, or there was like a general expectation that people should or shouldn't get something. And plus, you also have that subjectivity that goes into it. And it's like, okay, well, did I not get a raise because my manager doesn't like me? And we really wanted to eliminate all of that. So I think there was a lot of excitement around it, but I think a little trepidation because it's never been done before, and it's not anything that I'm familiar with in the industry. I've talked to other people, and they're like, "No, but that's a good idea. We might try it. Tell us how it goes." But showing them that honestly, it compounds. So if I gave you you have an opportunity to get 5% over the course of a year. So and really you're in control of it at that point. So that's what we kind of pointed out, is that you have the opportunity to do this, and we're laying this out for you exactly how you can get there. There's not any question of how you can get there. And honestly, if you're in good standing, you automatically get a 0.25% bump anyways every quarter. So we kind of built that in there as well. So all the metrics equal 1%. And if you're in good standing, you get that 0.25 anyways. And we showed them the compounding piece of it too, because if that goes into overtime, right? So every quarter you have the opportunity to add more on as opposed to just once a year. And if your, raise or your annual review is in December, then it's going to take you until the busy season in like April, May, June to start really reaping the rewards when you're in overtime. So now they have the opportunity throughout the year to increase their pay, and it compounds. So that was exciting for us too. So to be determined how it goes, but we are excited about it and trying that out.
I love that. I'm going to check back with you in about a year to ask how it's going.
Absolutely.
Because it's such an interesting process, very creative.
Thank you.
Yeah, I remember reading Traction probably about 8 years ago, and this was before we fully implemented it, but it did talk about core values, and that's when I implemented core values in my business too, because it infiltrates everything.
It
And
does.
it starts with your hiring process. Like, it doesn't start when someone's actually there. And you were telling me that you guys intentionally rebuilt your hiring process and
Yes.
now have a dedicated talent acquisition partner internally, which is great. And I'm curious what changed when you got intentional about hiring instead of just filling seats.
So definitely retention is much higher than it was previously. We still have some seasonality to our business, so we'll have college students who come in, or someone who likes to ski in the winter, and they're a ski instructor because we're in New England, so they might work seasonally and they might come and go. So we do have that piece of it. But other than that, being really intentional about who we're bringing on, we're just seeing an elevation in the talent that is coming through. And we're also seeing a lot more referrals from our current employees. And as I'm sure you know, as a business owner, hiring is very expensive and training is very expensive. And we have a whole 4-week onboarding program, which I love, but those, especially for technicians, it's at least 4 weeks before they're able to get out into the field and produce. So if we can retain people, which I think is the goal, obviously, for everyone, then you reduce the hiring costs. And then if you need more people, the fact that you have referrals coming in means that you have happier team members and that they want to have people here. So we have seen, we just had someone start a couple weeks ago, and he's referred 3 people to us already. So it's like, this is amazing. How do you know so many people that want to do pest control? But just that, it says a lot. And especially we did revamp our onboarding program. So it was okay at best. And we spent Q4 of last year really diving deep into that and saying, hey, we want an awesome onboarding program where people are able to pass the exam. In New England, you have to be licensed in the states that you're servicing. So if you come in without a license, which oftentimes happens, we have to get you to pass the exam. Plus, there's a lot of science-based information that goes into, and knowledge that goes into being an effective pest control technician. So getting them that information, getting them the safety and compliance training, all of that. So we really revamped that. And it was so rewarding when Diane, who's our talent acquisition partner and kind of running HR, we send out surveys every week during the 4-week onboarding program. And we were a little nervous that technicians who had licenses would be like, oh, this is really boring. Like, this is really basic. I already know how to do this. I've been doing pest control for a million years. I just want to get on the road. And we actually got the best feedback from them, that they hadn't received that at other companies, that we were really intentional about what we were doing, and that they loved the training. And I was like, oh my God, like, we were so nervous that they were just gonna be like, this is horrible. Why am I here? I already know this stuff. So that, I think, was the biggest compliment, that people who had been in the industry for 5, 10, 15 years actually really enjoyed the onboarding process, where we thought that the people who didn't have any experience in the industry would have gotten more out of it. And they probably did, but we didn't get the pushback from those tenured techs that we thought we were.
Wow, that's incredible. First off, getting referrals where you don't have to go out and search for people.
Yes.
Wow. And you're also getting referrals from people you've already vetted. Like they
Yes,
meet your core values. That is one of the pieces of secret sauce to business, in my opinion, because your business
absolutely.
is who you hire. Like that is your business, like are the people that make it. So to have that to where your teammates are now like, ooh, I want my friends to work here. I want my former colleagues to work here speaks a lot to like what you guys have built from the hiring process to the onboarding 4-week process. And I would love for our listeners to hear, what does that 4-week process look like?
Sure. So it starts on a Friday. It's a half day, and they meet with Diane, and she goes through our company culture, the structure, all of the ins and outs of our HRIS system, how to punch in, punch out. Here are the contacts. Here are the benefits we offer. Here are the ways in which we stay connected. So we have, I think we worked on it earlier this year. I think it's like an 80, like 80 slides that she goes through. So she'll onboard them for a half day, and then they come back on Monday, and they are spending the majority of the time. And this goes also for our sales reps that come in, any managers that come in, CSRs, inside sales. They all go through this process, even if they're not getting licensed. There might be some modifications in there. Like they're not studying for an exam. I'm not going to make them watch the 6-hour video that we have for training. But they go through the pest biology. So they'll come in and they meet with our technical director on Monday. And we have they get a schedule on Friday of all of the things that they're going to be doing. So they know Monday through Friday what the expectation is. And then on Fridays, we generally have like a self-directed piece of it. So that's when they're going through Paylocity is our HRIS system. So they'll go through compliance trainings on there, and they'll go through Centricon University. They do all of these things on Friday, so it gives them some ability to be independent, and then also it allows our technical director to get some of his stuff done that he needs to do too. So they do Fridays are independent, and the first 2 weeks are really in classroom, and then the last 2 weeks are in the field training. And then if you're in sales or in our office, you're going to be spending time a little bit out in the field, but mostly like with your manager of your department.
Wow, that is such an investment on your part into the people that come on board, but feeling that intentionality, feeling the care from the business that, hey, I want to set you up for success. I'm sure that has produced the same intentionality from the people that come onto your team of like, wow, I want to invest in you too. Would you say
Yeah,
that?
I think that's absolutely true. And I think that, we're seeing results just from passing exams. In the past, it was like we could never nail down why people weren't succeeding, or, we'd have a lot of failures in like one state and then be crushing it in another state. So now we're able to hone in, and our passing grade is much higher too. So I think and they're given time to study during the day instead of like just having to go home and study after hours after being like in a truck all day. So just kind of all of that, and really being, as you said, intentional about it. And then obviously having new hires who are referring people right out of the gate, I think is a testament to all of the work that the team did to get this up and running, because it was certainly a labor of love, and a lot of meetings, a lot of questions, a lot of thoughts, and spirited conversations, I would say.
Yeah, I bet it sounds like a labor of love, but a worthy investment.
Yeah,
I bet you're glad to be on the other side of that.
sure am. Sure am. Didn't think we'd get there, but we did.
Well, I wish I would have asked you this at the beginning, but can you let us know like your team structure? How many team members? Are they fully in office, some out of office? Yeah.
So we have about 125 team members, comprised primarily of our outside operations team. So that would be supervisors, directors, our field technicians. We have a technical team, inside sales, outside sales, our inside operations team, which is really our customer care team. So they do all of our customer service. We have our marketing division. We have a systems and data director, and kind of IT falls under him, but he really is our data person. So he's the one that I go to. I'm like, Matt, I need some information here. How do I get this? And we have a finance and HR department as well. Our inside sales team is pretty much entirely remote. Our customer care team comes into the office about once a week, but primarily remote as well. And we actually have several. I think we're up to. We just hired two more. I think like 14 or 15 virtual assistants from the Philippines too, who help as well, and they're awesome, and they're part of the team too. They're in our team's chats. We send swag over to them, Pest-End branded swag. So we get them engaged as much as possible too.
Wow, that's really cool. I am curious how you make your virtual assistants, they're in the Philippines, quite different culture. I'm curious how you make them feel included in the company. I know you mentioned previously, like you do an employee appreciation day. Are they involved in that? Or yeah.
Yeah, so we have done some, like, we'll do raffles and like giveaways and stuff, and they're included on the wheel. So one of the days, I think it was like an employee appreciation day, we had a wheel and we had everyone's name on it, including the VAs, and we would spin it every hour, and there'd be gift cards and things like that. So if they won, obviously they don't have exactly the same things here there that we do here. So we might swap it out. So if it was like a $50 gift card, we'd just send them like $50 in their paycheck. So we do that. We also, as I mentioned, we did the swag bag. So we had Pest-End branded items shipped over to all of them with a handwritten note. And they experience onboarding just like everyone else, although virtual. But we will do meetings just like this. Our training is always virtual. And then we have weekly and monthly team meetings where they're a part of. We have group chats on Teams that they're a part of. So they are they participate just like everyone else in it. And if we do like a big training, we have like that awesome owl camera. So we'll hook that up so that they can be a part of it too. They can't attend like our company events especially the one in January, our kickoff meeting, but we will make sure that we have that going so that they can see what's going on, see the presentations that are happening.
I love that. I think that's an important piece if you're going to hire internationally to really infuse those international team members into your team.
Absolutely. And we just have a fantastic team, and they've integrated so well. They work really in every department that we have in the office, whether it's our contracts team, our facilities team. We even have someone that we've trained on inside sales, which I think is fantastic. So all of that, and they're just like any other team member, and they are welcomed, and they have, their own inside jokes and all the things. And they actually a couple months ago got together. They all got together and had lunch. So we paid for their lunch over there. So we try to do what we can, and we know it's not quite the same as being here, but as much as we can be inclusive, we try to be.
Yeah, important. And then you're going to get them investing right back into you too and feeling like they're a part of something.
Absolutely.
I am curious, you mentioned a kickoff meeting. Will you tell me a little bit about what that is?
Absolutely. So every January, we do a kickoff meeting, which is kind of a reflection on what happened the previous year, and then a look forward to what to expect for the upcoming year, any big initiatives that we're working on. And we have everyone on the leadership team talk about their department and accomplishments from the previous year, and then kind of where we're headed for the upcoming year. And then, so we probably spent a couple of hours just going through all of that, reviewing numbers from the previous year, our goals for the upcoming year. And then we'll have a lunch. And then we've recently, the last couple of years, done it at Dave and Buster's. So then everybody gets to go play video games afterwards, which is funny because it's not something that you would think of that people love, but it's something that it's nostalgic. So
Totally.
and there's very competitive people on our team. So they're always trying to one up each other at those.
That makes it playful and fun and
Absolutely.
some bonding time too. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, of everything that we've talked about today, the hiring, onboarding, comp plan, the shine core values, recognition, could you point to a singular thing that had the biggest measurable impact on retention or performance?
I really do think it's the core values are the foundation of really everything that we do and in the business. So I definitely would point to that. But overall, I really just think it's intentionality, and culture isn't built by, having a grand party every year or giving out gift cards at an event. It really is intentional small decisions that you make every single day in the business to be successful and to cultivate that culture, because a once a year thing is great and it's fun, but when it when things go south or people are working a ton of hours because the weather breaks and it's crazy, you want to make sure that that culture is still strong there, even when people might be a little bit more stressed than they are at a January kickoff event when it's a little bit slower of a season for us. So being really intentional and making those decisions, and then again, hiring by our core values, rewarding by those core values, and really holding people accountable and having those tough conversations framed around those core values, I really do think is so critical.
Yeah, it's something that sometimes people look over because it sounds so quote unquote simple, even though it is not. Or sometimes it can sound overwhelming, like, I don't know what to do.
Yes.
But it does have one of the biggest impacts. So I love that this has attributed to your growth because it also not only an impact from a financial perspective, but also an impact from like, wow, I'm making an impact.
Absolutely. And I think that pest control, just in general, doesn't always value itself as much as it should as an industry. So to be able to promote that, and then to also promote ourselves as protectors of public health and schools and like food processing facilities, all of that is just so critical. And I think if we frame everything in that conversation, it really brings so much value to our industry just in general. So having those ways to boost morale and really show like what you're doing is critically important. And we appreciate what you're doing, but just the wider community is benefiting from everything that you guys are doing as well.
100%. Yes. Courtney, this has been such a fun conversation.
Thank you. I've had a blast.
Yeah, these topics are so fun. It makes business fun. It makes it
Absolutely.
exciting. Yeah, if any of our listeners want to ask you about how your comp plan is going or any questions that they may have, or they just want to follow along on your journey of success, where can people find you or your company if they want to learn more?
Absolutely. So, a couple different ways. We actually just launched a brand new website, so pestendinc.com. And then you can follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Pest-End is just the handle on all of them.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us today. We sincerely appreciate your time. And I will see you guys next time on the Best of Pest Marketing Podcast.